Good morning. Welcome to Glasgow High School. This is the Dragon's Den, and we will be doing another episode today on entrepreneurship and how it is to work to get in where you want to go. Today's special guest is De'Shaun Chancy with the CEO of Dare to Have Hair. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We had to, yes. I had to do it, I just see a lot of success in you, and I just wanted you to be able to share your story to some of these students here in our building. So let's get started with these kids and these questions.
Hello, my name is AK, and my question is, what inspired you to do this? What inspired you to create this great company that turned out to be?
Honestly, my inspiration just came from me not wanting to be broke. I worked at Bank of America, I want to say for about 8 years. And I did well there, but I knew that just wasn't like what I was supposed to be doing, or for say, destiny.
Your purpose.
Yeah, purpose. And I remember I used to cry in my cubicle every day because I was just miserable. It just felt like I was on this wheel. I got paid. The money would just not even really be enough. And then I'm on it again, and I'm just constantly striving and hustling. At the same time, wanting to get further in my personal life, my relationships with my children, thinking that me advancing in management would fix the answer. And honestly, what fixed the answer was, it should have been me walking away, but I didn't really have enough courage, especially because of what I was taught and accustomed to of how to live and survive. I didn't see no other way. But what I love about God is that he pushed me out. So what I should have walked away from, he allowed.
He gave you that strength to walk away.
No, it was through rejection. The things that we want to run from, it was from me being fired, me being dismissed. And in that moment of me being dismissed and fired, I actually was like excited in the inside. I don't know why, but I think it was just the God in me. Like, I was just so excited, and I didn't know really how to express that to other people without them thinking that I was crazy. So even on my way home, I was like, I was so happy, but at the same time, I was like, oh my God, I just got married. Like, maybe I need to be crying when I get home to my husband, like, be dramatic, I got fired. But it ended up not working out that way. He kind of just knew, and it wasn't like no beef or anything. But I was on unemployment for about, I want to say like a year and a half, 2 years. So I got a letter from the Obama administration, basically like, all right, sis, that's it, cut it. Like, and honestly, that was just me falling into a place of comfortability and kind of just like coasting. And that wasn't what God wanted me to do. So I needed another push. And in that moment, it was just like, I'm like, what am I going to do with my life? And I prayed and cried, of course. And the idea came for me to start my hair company. I kept seeing people on Instagram when I first started having businesses. I had an experience that wasn't so good with buying from one of those businesses in the beauty area. And I'm like, I can do this. And I started researching, Googling, and that led opening up one door to the next door. And my mom, my husband, they gave me some money. And, I bought some inventory, and I started flipping it, and it just grew from there.
Thank you. That was good.
Is there any other interests that you had before you started your hair company? Like, did you want to do something else? Was there another option, or you just...
At that time, I didn't have another option, but when I was in school and growing up, when I was a little kid, I always had the dream and desire to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that.
But at that time, when I was going through that, it was like I knew that's exactly what I needed to do. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the vehicle to get me through places and spaces. And let me tell you something. At that moment, I didn't think that my company was going to grow to where it has grown, or where even it's going to grow. I didn't think that it would be a world household renowned brand. Me walking it out, I started praying those things and coming in agreement with what God was showing me. But when I first started out, it was just more so to just get money in my house. So, you know, we were behind on bills and struggling, and it was more so not even knowing what was going to happen, right? But just taking that first step and being serious about it, being intentional about it, just kept it going and growing. Because it's like a moment, right? I don't know, like, does anybody here know anything about the Bible? A little? You ever heard of King David?
Yes.
Okay. So it's like this pivotal moment, right? When you step into destiny, it's like, even if you feel like you're not going to make it, or you feel like you're not good enough, or you feel like it's not going to work out, it's like it just works out. Even through the opposition, even through, you know, again, the rejection, the pain, all of those things. Like when you step into destiny, you know, everything has to move out of your way or come into agreement to help you. And it's so important to recognize those moments in our life, because a lot of times when you're in a place, and even like high school, right? Because, you know, high school is cool, but I know for me, when I was in high school, like my stomach used to hurt every day walking into high school, because it was just like the anxiety, the uncertainty. You know, you're put in a jungle where you're dealing with so many different emotions, you know. Friends that aren't really friends, you know, relationships that you think is going to be forever, but they just don't be forever, you know. You're dealing with teachers and certain things where people are having an expectation for you and you don't feel like you can quite meet it, you know. You're, you know, at the same time trying to process all the raging emotions that within yourself, and then trying to figure out who you are. Then you're going home, and then your parents have an expectation for you, or sometimes you want them to have an expectation for you and they don't. You know what I mean? And then you're in this place of comparison where you looking outside of yourself, thinking that other people's lives are better for you, realizing that a lot of people suffer in silence. So I just remember being in that place, but not realizing that that place prepared me a lot for where I am now. And as you go through life, you'll be in more places like that, but those places are always preparation. The places that feel like isolation, the places that feel like, you know, hell sometimes on earth, is actually preparing you for something greater. It's like you're in training. You know, so what I have been learning, even in this season in my life, over the last few years, my life kind of transitioned again. I stepped into purpose without realizing it. And one of the things that God kept saying to me throughout the process is like, don't trust what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, you know what I mean? Don't trust any of those things. And the reason why is because deception is at an all-time high. It's always been, but it's even so more now. And a lot of the things that we hear and see that speak to us, that tries to shape and create us or cause trauma and things in us, are a lie. But you can feel it and it hurts. Or you can feel it and it might be a beautiful lie, and you have to be careful that you don't get caught up in that space, that it helps you miss that, again, stepping into that place of purpose. So you got to know that you know who you are, like your identity, who you are in God, because people are constantly going to be trying to tear down your identity in some way, shape, or form, or try to get you to fit an identity that they want so they can misuse you, manipulate you, or do whatever they want to do with you, sometimes even intentionally, right, out of love. You know, we have to recognize in spaces who is speaking to us and from what place they're speaking to us. Like in this space in my life right now, I know what I know God told me, even though it don't look like it don't feel like it, you know what I mean? It ain't adding up. Like, you know, I'm like, God, this ain't clock and tea. Like, it's not giving what it's supposed to give. But I got to remember what God told me. So if my mom comes and speaks to me, and it might be a little bit in alignment with that, but at the same time is not in alignment with that, I got to understand she's speaking from a place of a mother. Versus if somebody from a wife's counsel come and speaks to me, they might be in alignment with it, but it might be uncomfortable, and it might not be something I want to hear because it's stretching me. And then I'm like, okay. So it's like understanding who's speaking to you, because if you go to your friend and you tell your friend something that's going on, 9 times out of 10, they're going to comfort you in a place of agreement of giving you something that you want to hear. But it's like, right, is that what I need to hear? They telling you to crash out.
Yeah.
Well, what is crashing out going to get me? It's going to get me in jail.
Yeah.
It's going to get me suspended. You know what I mean? Also going to put me in a place of regret. Now I got to feel bad about what I did.
Yeah.
So where it might be another space that's telling you, you know, they're going through something right now. You know, let them just have this moment. You know, later they'll come back and apologize, or you apologize first. That's very uncomfortable because it's making you be vulnerable, and then it's like they playing in my face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like learning the different voices around us and, you know, how to perceive and walk those things out. Because a lot of times I learned and noticed that, like, okay, even in business, right, a customer might come to me and they're very rude and they're just treating me like crap, or they're talking bad about my business, but at the same time requiring something of my business, right?
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes we got to take a step back because that's coming from a place of pain. Like, that's coming from a place of something they're dealing with. And a lot of times people don't like to deal with their stuff, so instead they project it.
Other people.
You know what I mean? So it's like sometimes we got to take a step back and be emotional intelligent. So while y'all in this place of navigating high school friends and different things like that, you got to really ask God to give you emotional intelligence. That's so important to be able to operate in spaces of leadership, to learn how to have emotional intellect.
That's
Great.
yeah. That was
I needed
real.
that.
No, that was
I
real.
needed that.
Like, that was real
I
advice.
do. Hold on. I want to follow up with what you just said about your clients. Like, maybe you have a client who's like, maybe you have a client who's like hating on your business or whatever, you know. So, what are the cons about selling bundles, selling hair?
The cons about selling hair is that, you know, it's a demand. One thing about women is they're always big on their beauty. Also, we're in a space where people love to be versatile. Like, one day I might, like, my girl down here want to have a pink hair, you know, and tomorrow I might want to have black, you know, I might want to have wavy, I want to have straight, and it gives women options to express themselves. So that is definitely a con, and that, wait, no, you said a con, right? Oh, a con, that's a pro. What I just said was a pro. A con is that you're dealing with people that a lot of times aren't in that space of a pro and buying hair because they just want to change their look or they just want to do something different. The con of it is sometimes you're dealing with people that have broken identities and low self-esteems and they want to look like somebody else. So they're buying the hair because they want to look like De'Ara, or they're buying the hair because they want to look like a rapper's girlfriend, Jada Wada. They're buying the hair because, you know, they want to look like somebody else. And then once they get it installed, because they don't have that confidence within their self to be who they are, they get mad that the outcome isn't what they desired it to be. So then they get angry, and now they want to blame somebody. And 9 times out of 10, it's going to be the hair company. Another con is sometimes, you know, people aren't very smart about their money. So again, they're getting something that they want, but not necessarily something that they need, and they're taking it from a need. So they're taking it from their electric bill, they're taking it from their mortgage, they're taking it from their college fund, they're taking it from this source. They're not being wise about it, and now they have this, but then now that other thing is due. So now you want to try to do a chargeback or get mad or feel like you want to get something more out of it. So you're constantly dealing with those type of oppositions. As well as we're in an era where people want to scam and steal at an all-time high, and even people are aspiring to grow up and be scammers, right? So that's a con of being in that place. Also, when you're in a place of service, people are always trying to, you know, get some type of deal or discount or whatever, or even if it's through manipulation. And one of the things that I have learned over the last few years, anything that has the word dis attached to it is something that I don't even want to speak or be a part of. And if you research the word dis, it goes back to being an old, ancient, lowercase god, right? And it was of nothing good. It was of nothing good, right? And that's why we see a lot of things that dis is connected to is of evil, disconnected, you know what I mean? You know, disagreement, disease, so forth and so on. So when people come to me and say, can I get a discount, you already coming to me in the wrong spirit, because now you should never have to discount yourself or your service, because you are worthy of it. You know, a person is worthy of being paid. So you're dealing with people that are coming at and they want to negotiate you down and things of that sort, and through manipulation, they want to be your friend so they can give a discount. The best thing that a friend could ever do is pay you full price for your service if they really believe in you. Like, if you're my friend, then why do I need to offer you a discount?
But that's still your way of living. So if they're living the way they're living, you still have to live. You still have to get paid.
Because
just
I
like
can't
them.
go
This is your
pay my
business.
electric bill. You
I
know,
have money.
I understand.
right, and all little things of that sort. And a lot of times the perception of that has been, you know, just blurred and misused. So that's a con as well.
A lot of people do that too, though.
They do that.
A lot of people do that.
They do that, and that's why it's so
not
important.
fair, though.
Before you go into entrepreneurship, you know your identity. First of all, you have a relationship with God, right? Because He's the creator of creator, right? He created by just speaking. And a lot of times when you're in entrepreneurship, you're going to create by just speaking, and that's why you have to watch what you say. But yeah, you got to know, because all of these type of things are going to be coming up against you in that space of having a business.
That's the crazy part is you said that, like, even training, because everybody know I do training in the summer and we do charge, and a lot of people are like, yo, you gonna give me a discount for training? I'm like, this is my job in the summer, like, what are we doing? Like, I can't put myself on pause for other people. So I definitely understand, like, that's definitely a big thing.
One thing, you know, they don't teach us in school, but they do, but not really in detail like that. But you got to really understand words and the meaning behind them and how they're being spoken and how you use them, because this does not mean nothing good. Like, me looking up the word this, just doing like a quick search of it, it's like not away, apart, the opposite of, you know, it doesn't have any good thing attached to it. It's a negative word. So you don't never want to put yourself in a place where you're in dissatisfactory of what you were purposed to be.
Next question.
Okay. So, what makes your brand unique, and what are your core values?
What makes my brand unique is, even when I first started out, I made a lot of mistakes, but what I think made my brand unique was the first thing that I did when I was even looking for, like, the name of my brand. Like, I didn't know a lot about God or the Bible, but I knew I needed to pray. And I asked God, like, what should I name my business? Because everybody was telling me what I should name it, you know? They're like, oh, you should name it Luscious this, and you should name it this and that. I'm like, no. And I knew it was like a baby. I wanted to make sure I named it right. So I had prayed and then named Dare to Have Hair. Right then and there, I knew that's what it was. I didn't know what that meant or what or why. It was just so different. But I knew that's what God wanted me to name it. And then I stayed in that space of always trying to, not even knowing that that's what I was doing, but I was literally seeking Him of, like you said, what are the core values of this and what is the purpose of it? And I knew that I wanted to do something that not only gave women beauty, but again, gave them confidence. Something that can not only just change the dynamic of how they look, but also just resonated and moved with their soul, no matter what space it was. And that was like a hard conversation, because when I met with a lot of people, they like, you have to have a target audience and this and that. But like, I kept seeing so many different variations of audiences. Like, again, it might be the high school girl, you know, that needs help being confident in who she is and coming into her identity. It might be the businesswoman, the woman that's out here, you know, in the career, in the boardrooms, that want that confidence and things of that nature. It might be the mom that just had a baby that want to get back to herself and not lose that space. So that was more so like the core values for me. And for me, I kind of stayed in that. Also, I pushed past fear, which I believe, like, that word dare comes in, right? Because I had to now get in front of the camera, even though I had no experience, I had no followers, and I had to be a demonstration and an illustration and a model of a brand when no one knew who I was before I had celebrity ambassadors. Then I had to have enough courage, enough to go to celebrities and ask them if they could partner or work with my brand. And I started doing that with locally, right? God gave me strategy. So for me, I started looking at the it girls, like girls that were popular within their own community. And they might not even thought they was an it girl, but for me, I went on their page and I looked at their engagement. If you only got like 1,000 followers, but you got like 300 people engaging with you and in your comment, baby, you got something going on. Don't let nobody tell you different. See, what happens is you end up comparing yourself to somebody that got 1 million. But if you got like 1,500 followers, 5,000 followers, and every time you getting them likes and your friends is in your, that means that people see you as influence. You have community. So those girls nobody wasn't going after them. I was, because obviously people were talking to them. So if they talking to them, then like, you know what I mean? So then I started dominating over states by doing that. I started dominating over high schools by doing that. I started dominating on college bases by doing that. So that was my first strategy. Then I ended up stepping outside of that and taking it up a notch, because even in that, right, I couldn't see it in that strategy, but now looking back, I could see what God was doing, because he gave me something smaller and I was faithful with that. So then now by the time I worked my way up to girls that had bigger followings and bigger influences, it was a little bit easier. Then from there, I started talking to like Black China. And it was like at a perfect moment, not even me knowing it, when she was going through all of that with Tyga, and then when she was going through all of that when she was with the Kardashians. That did well for my business. I remember the first time she posted me, I went from, I want to say like 15K followers to 50,000 followers within like 45 minutes. But guess what? Here's the thing. I was crying in the bed because a friend had just broken my heart, had rejected me, I felt like they left me. I felt like, whatever we had was something good and they betrayed me. So I'm literally balled up in the bed crying, thinking that my life is over in this very moment. Me trying to have a pity party, my husband trying to encourage me. I'm trying to hear nothing he had to say, and my phone is going off, and I'm like, I'm dying, I'm crying, like, what do y'all want? And then they like, girl, your numbers is going up, like, da-da-da-da-da. Like, I got to get myself together from crying to see that in the midst of those moments where somebody left you for dead, they forgot that you was a seed. You know what I mean? Those moments where people like, sometimes when the worst time is happening in your life is also like the best time. And it's hard to see it because we want to be in that place of pain and pity, like where we want to be brought up, but not realizing that in order for a seed to actually bring forth a harvest, it has to do what? I know y'all know this. It has to die.
Oh, die?
It has to die. Yeah. It has to hit the ground and die.
Oh, sorry. What's the biggest challenge you faced as an entrepreneur? How did you overcome it?
Separating personal from business, as well as being in those type of moments when I get hurt or something doesn't work out. Just persevering forward. Always keep moving forward, even if it feels like you're not. That one step, that one breath, that just waking up and brushing your teeth is actually a step of moving forward. In 2015, I started my company in 2011. I faced a lot of opposition even from when I started, at the door. Just me trying to find the right product, people talking bad about it, but at the same time, it's constantly growing and then not feeling confident in what I'm putting out because I'm hearing so much negative and so many complaints, right? And trying to just walk through that space. Of having confidence that I'm in the right space and that I have a good product. Then from there, I went to just trying to manage the sales coming in, the inventory, getting the packages out, because now you got people mad at you because you know how y'all do. I want my tracking number. Where is my package? I'm waiting at the door. Y'all don't have patience. So then dealing with that. Then, in 2015, my brother was murdered. And I was also pregnant, and that was in a big pivotal time of my business. It was during tax season, and back then tax season used to do exactly what it was purposed to do, okay? Everybody was like money making Mitch outside, okay? So in the midst of me trying to process that grief, which I processed it. I didn't look at it at that time because I never had pain like that. before, and it was a type of pain that there's nothing that anyone else can do. Like, it's nothing that nobody can say to you, can give you, can speak to you, even if you're married, your kids. And I sat with that pain, and I would grieve. I remember times customers would be calling me again, like, where's my order, this, and that, and I would have to mute the phone because my heart was broke, and I had to cry and then get myself back up together to get back on the phone and then give them information about their business. And in the midst of that, I didn't realize how God was carrying me, and I made it out because I didn't think I was going to. Then from dealing with like the fear of that, of if my brother can be like gruesomely murdered like that, like at any given moment, like, am I going to die? Like, is somebody going to come and get me? Something bad going to happen to me? Then I also had to work through the pain of, if my brother can die, then I got bitter and cold. Like, I don't care if I lose you. I don't care if this relationship don't work out, because if I can experience the pain like that, then it's like, who cares if you ever talk to me again? Right. But that was like a space that God had to heal me out of that space. So it was like constantly going through all of that and actually going through it and walking it out and still being able to have a business. Because a lot of the things I faced, most people would have gave up. They would have gave up when people would start talking bad about them. They'd be like, next adventure, this ain't for me. I don't want to do this. Because a lot of times we put us in that space where we want to be people pleasers. We care about what everybody think about us. But like, do you think McDonald's care that everybody be putting a video saying they dying, they doing videos, they ate McDonald's for 30 days and they died? Do McDonald's care? If we drive by McDonald's right now, they won't have a line. The same thing with Chick-fil-A. People talk bad about Chick-fil-A, but at the same time, they focus on their strengths and they keep offering the service. It's not one business out here that doesn't get trash talked about. It's just a part of it. You know what I mean? People talk about the celebrities. People talk about Beyonce for years, and she still does what she do. So it's just a part of it.
Yeah,
it's just a part of it.
You got to make sure your mental health is good whenever doing anything.
You got to even move past that, because guess what? Sometimes your mental health is not always going to be good, and that's just honestly the reality of it. Like, sometimes our mental health is not going to be good in life and the things that we're going through, and that's the time when we can't lean on our own understanding. We can't lean on our own intellect, emotions, or revelation of the simple, of it. Sometimes we got to be okay with not being okay, but still walking and moving forward, because life hurts. Things are going to hit. People are going to die. People are going to leave. People are going to, things are going to shift and happen, economy. So sometimes we are just not going to be okay, and we have to be okay with that and not get caught up. And see, that's the thing. That's why I don't like the devil, because see, he creates this false narrative and this deception. Even in that is beauty, right? Where they like self-care, mental health. I have to worry about my mental health. And it's a beautiful lie. It's a beautiful lie. And it'll have you caught in a place of thinking that you're never fully taking care of yourself. That you can't even take care of yourself, or your mental health isn't good. So you got to disconnect from your family. You got to go into a place of isolation, which is the worst place to be, right? Because we're thinking that we're not even good for our own self. So how can I be good for you? Because my mental health isn't good. And the reality of it is that is a beautiful lie, because sometimes we are not going to be able to be okay. But the times that I'm not okay is the best times that I can help somebody else, because I'm coming from a place of compassion. I'm coming from a place of understanding. I'm coming from a place of, maybe this person is driving like this morning because something happened in their life. Or maybe this person is being rude to me because their mom just passed away and they don't know how to deal with the pain. Sometimes in the moments in our life when we are broken the most is the times that we are the most helpful to somebody else, the most beautiful to somebody else. So that's why we cannot get caught up in deception.
Question?
How you doing? Since you're an entrepreneur, like, do you only focus on one income? Like, or do you have multiple investments going for yourself?
So that's the whole thing about entrepreneurship. We definitely should have multiple streams of income, right? Because sometimes, rivers, things happen. So I struggled with that for a while because it can become overwhelming, but you you'll notice that your baby will start giving birth to other babies. And then sometimes you have to take a moment of seeing how you can do things better, because there was a season that I was like really, really good over my finances, putting it back into business. But sometimes that business can get greedy and then eat everything up. And you might have to pivot and be like, okay, what is it that I need to do next? Or what is the next maneuver? So I think that it's a time and place for everything. Sometimes you do need to concentrate on that one business to make sure that it has a sturdy foundation. And then once it gets to that place, right, just like a kid, and now it's ready to go off to college, it's like, all right, now I need to figure out how I can be, you know, taking some things from here and investing in other investments, or even why that kid is in middle, the business is in the middle page, start thinking about how I can start, you know, working smarter and not harder. That's one thing I love about y'all generation, right? Because when I grew up, it was like, you got to go to school, you got to go to college, and you got to get a good job. But what I love about y'all is like, it's like, no, like, I'm going to be an influencer, like, I'm going to be a rapper, but at the same time, you know what I mean, I'm going to be a nurse, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to TikTok it, like, so I love that, and I thank God that I was able, you know, to adapt to that, because you can't tell me that I'm not forever young. Like, you just can't tell me that I'm not. It's for a reason. Like, it's for a reason. And I love that. And I was able to adopt that from y'all. I think that's good. Like, do not put your eggs in one basket. You know, be the influencer. Be very versatile. Be the influencer. You know, be the person that, you know, if you go to school or further education, whatever that might look like, you know, be the person that also, if you have a dream of doing something with clothing, do that. Because you know what? It's so much easier now because there's so many resources, especially with your phone. Like, I remember people like get so mad at me, especially when I first started my business. My husband, my friends, everybody, it's like, put your phone down, put your phone down. It's like, how can I put my phone down when I make $2 million on my phone? Like, no, you put yourself down. Like, you go over there and sit down. But this phone will do what it need to do. You know, you have so many different tabs open, be organized with it, you know, talk to people overseas. And when you're talking to them, talk to them with confidence. Like, when I used to talk to people overseas, they didn't even know I was a woman. They thought I was a man. They used to say they thought I was like a general or something. Because I didn't know how I did, but I knew I carried myself like that. You know, God put it in me. I didn't allow people to play with me. I asked all the right questions. You know, I put down the right demands. So when you're talking to these people, don't let people tell you what they can do for you. You know, you tell them what you need done. Mm-hmm. And you stand from that place. And then while you're talking to the clothing company, you can be over here starting, you know what I mean, a hair care line or a skin care line. And then while you're doing that, you could be, you know, navigating if you want to do something with sports and train. So you can do all of these different things if you learn how to be disciplined and organized. Those are the two things. And consistency. Discipline, organization, consistency, and then again, having that foundation where you're walking with God. And that doesn't mean you have to be perfect, but you're having a conversation with Him. And that was just so important to me throughout that, because I didn't realize that I was doing something when I thought I wasn't doing nothing at all.
Yeah. Next question.
How do you deal with self-doubt or burnout?
For me, again, it's just realizing that deception is at an all-time high, and sometimes it's rooted in us. How does it get rooted in us? Like growing up, you know, parents say the wrong things. Family members say the wrong things, you know what I mean? Being in abusive situations. Like, I grew up in a very abusive situation. I was sexually abused, mentally abused, physically abused, and all of those different things, right? And so what happens is those different scenarios and situations, friends hurting you, different things, it plants voices in your mind. And then once you grasp that, you know that it's a lie. Because 9 times out of 10, when somebody's saying that you're not something, is because you are that. You got to think I'm that, because why you keep saying I'm not? So when them thoughts in your head is telling you, like, oh, you're not good enough, you can't do it, you don't have the resources, this, and that. Like, you got to learn, like, the Bible tells us to pull down vain imaginations. Like, we got to pull down those thoughts, and you literally have to do that. So when something pops up in your mind and tells you, like, you can't do this, or you don't look like everybody else, or no one's not going to listen to you, you got to have enough courage in you to say, that's a lie. That's a lie, and I'm going to do it. Because anytime, who in here works out? So you know anything about resistance training, right? So what does that do? When you do resistance training, what does that do? It don't feel good for sure.
It doesn't.
But what does it build?
It builds up the tolerance.
It does. It builds up your tolerance for it. It builds up stamina. It builds up muscle. So every time you feel opposition pushing against you, you got to push back. And before you know it, you're like a bodybuilder mentally. You're like a bodybuilder in the spirit. So when you feel opposition pushing up against you, it's not for you to run. No, it's for you to push back. Mm-hmm. And you keep pushing back. So when they say, I am not that, you say, I am that.
Mm-hmm.
And the more it happens to you, the more you'll get used to it by the time.
You do. And now you enter into another level because now it's like, okay, we need to put some more weights on here. You have accomplished that level. So yeah, it's going to keep coming, but you keep pushing back against it. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And even though my mother or father might forsake me, my heavenly Father hasn't. You start tapping into those type of things because it's not about what's touchable and tangible and seen. It's about what's in the internal and not seen. And sometimes that goes over a lot of people's head because we see that and we think that we got to die to receive it. But there is a heaven on earth. Mm-hmm. There is provision on earth. There is wealth on earth that is assigned to you, not just me. So you got to start pushing back against that stuff. And you got to start talking back. It's not for us to fight against each other, but it's about to fight against the opposition of the things that we can't see. And me growing up, because I dealt with a lot of different type of abuse and things like that, I became angry and I was a good fighter. In the same way it is to fight people, you got to learn to fight against the opposition that's trying to tell you what you're not going to be. Because if you are a good fighter, the fight starts first, in the mind. Mm-hmm. So that's why people talk crash to you. They be like saying stuff to you or whatever because they're trying to intimidate your mind. Like Muhammad Ali was very, very good at that. Mm-hmm. So he intimidated the people that he was fighting by while he would go by him. He would say things to them that he knew would get under their skin because he's now messing with your mind. He would study you. He would find out your weaknesses, find out about your childhood. So while he's fighting you, he be saying them things to your mind. Sound familiar? So then after you do that, if you affect the mind, it's going to affect what? It's going to affect the emotion. Mm-hmm. Then after that, it affects your will. Well, it's revelation in that because God tells us to love him with our heart, our mind, and our will. Guess what the enemy is after? Those three things. So that's why people, they try to affect your mind. And then affecting your mind, they affect your emotion. And then affecting your emotion, they affect your will. So now mentally you crash out. Emotionally, you're just cold and, stoic. And now you don't even want to wake up or you don't want to deal with people. You think that it's just destined and meant for me to just be alone for the rest of my life. That's a lie. You got to fight against that because you have too much influence in you to be by yourself. There's a nation and generation out there for each and every one of you, for you to tap into, for you to encourage, because you all have a story. So it's not for y'all to isolate. It's not for y'all to get in a place of letting the lies consume your mind or allowing it to affect your emotions because it's trying to instill your identity in that place of what's sacred to God. Because once you tap into those three things and give it to God, it don't mean that you're perfect. But if you give him them three things, he could take something very small and make it very big. That's why it says he takes the foolish things to confound the wise. Mm-hmm. So don't allow the lies of deception that speak against your mind, that then try to attack your emotion, that then try to attack your will to affect you. You got to fight back. You got to push back with resistance.
Question.
What was a major failure and what did you learn from it?
A lot of times, the things that we majorly fail at is the things that we're supposed to be successful at. So for me, it's so much like managing money, managing my time. Again, what you said, I had to learn how to do that for myself. Fight against the thoughts of my mind, my emotions, my will. Also leadership, like starting in business so young and growing so fast that I needed help. Like, I didn't know how to be a boss. And what the world perceives as being a boss, that's not what a boss is. So it's so funny. I'm in a cubicle crying, right, to be a manager. And it's like God is like, you're thinking way too small. I can definitely tell you everybody on here is thinking way too small. Like, I'm wanting to be a manager. And God is like, no, I'm going to give you your own vineyard, right? So now I'm in this place with no training of leadership, at least so I thought. But high school trained me. All of these things that we think that aren't relevant literally trained me. Broken relationships trained me. But still being in that place, I felt because I have social media in front of me and it's telling you like a boss supposed to do this, a boss supposed to do that. No, it's not. Like, so in that area, I definitely like made a lot of mistakes and, you know, felt like I failed with just trying to manage people at the same time, not even knowing what the heck is going on with me and myself. Like not knowing how to talk to them correctly, not knowing how to be disciplined and, you know, with pay and things like that. Like I'm gonna do it when I want to do it. Like it doesn't work that way. So mishandling people has probably been one of my biggest failures.
What advice would you give these guys that want to start their own business?
I would say definitely write the vision down. And then why, people say that all the time, and I used to struggle with that, right? Because I'm like, it's in my head. Why do I need to write it down? But we do, because when you write it down, it gives you vision, but also it gives you something to look back on those moments where you're feeling discouraged. You're like, oh my God, I wrote this down, and I'm actually living in it. So I would say write it down. I would say forgive quickly, because learn how to walk in forgiveness.
Grace.
Like forgive, and give grace, because things are always just going to happen. People are going to offend you, even in business, and we can't take it personal. With someone not liking our product, not liking our service, or just doing whatever. That's just their opinion. People do that, okay? People are like professional critics. So, like, you got to learn to forgive quickly and not take things personal. Also, just be very, very disciplined and organized as much as possible. And it doesn't mean that you're not going to get it right. It doesn't mean that you're going to have days that you're going to miss the mark. But get back up again and just try to be as disciplined as possible and figure out a routine. I definitely think I'm working on getting to this place, but I definitely think working out helps out a lot because it teaches us things that we'll need mentally, you know, and spiritually when you're going into that place. Just knowing that, like, lifting weights with creating a business is going into spaces you've never been before will be heavy, but it's just same thing like weightlifting. Knowing that you're going to have the perfect breath, the perfect rhythm, the perfect momentum to run, right? Because you're going to have to run and not look back. You're also going to have to not allow yourself to be distracted by what's going on around you or next to you. You got to have tunnel vision and stay in your own lane so you don't crash out.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got a question. So I see like you got over 280,000 followers on Instagram. When was like your first like I made it moment? Like when did you realize you made it for yourself and your business got to where you wanted it to be?
I don't think I ever had that moment. I feel like I still ain't make it, but I definitely had some amazing moments through my business. But I still feel like I ain't make it. I think anybody that's in the space of entrepreneurship, no matter how people see them on the outside, you always just feel like you haven't made it yet. I feel like if you're a basketball player or whatever, no matter what, like if you're in any type of space, like you just feel like I still have not made it. So I don't feel like that. Like I feel like I should be at 1 million followers. Like, you know, I feel like there's still more things that I can do or needs to be done. But at the same time, sometimes that's not good. I got to look at small victories. So again, like me having that moment, me laying in the bed and then my followers going up, that was like a great moment of victory. Me, the first year, not realizing it, starting out with $300,000 and flipping it to almost $400,000. And it wasn't even a full year. It was like probably like 6 months. Like God was able to do that through me. That was a victory. The next year, being able to make $1 million. And then, you know, so all of these things are small victories, but I feel like if you mismanage them wrong or not pay attention to what's going on, then it delays the moment of the big one. But I had a lot of great experiences through my business. A lot of doors open to me. I remember when I went to Beyonce's mom art gala thing a few years ago, and it was the year that Beyonce and Jay-Z got honored, so they were there, and like probably where you are, like how far Beyonce was away from me, her and Jay-Z. Okay. But in that moment, it was just like, oh, she's just a regular person. You know, like these are regular people. Like that, if they wear their socks too long, their feet are going to stink. Like the only thing difference is that a lot of times people their tenacity, they put themselves in the right space and place, and they just don't give up. They keep going. You have to take ownership and momentum and grab hold of every moment so that you don't miss the next. So instead of being in a moment of being like, I finally made it, it's like, where is this staircase leading me to? What step I need to take next to get to the next step or the next moment, because there's more. Like, there's always more. Don't get comfortable.
Anything over here?
She answered all my questions.
Anybody else?
So you sell frontals, like closures, all that bundles?
And wigs.
I might have to check it out.
You do hair care too, though, right? Yeah.
Do you do hair?
I don't do different colors, but I do have blonde hair.
Do you like do?
I've never done hair. I
Then
can't
you
even
just sell
part. I can't even part a head. Nope.
Don't get
And
her
that's
started.
that's right there. Like, a lot of times you don't have to know how to do something to to do it. Again, like going back to King David, like he was in the field with the sheep, not even realizing that was training. He had no training at all, but it was because of his heart and his perseverance, and then he became a king. So you don't have to have training to step into an arena. You don't have to do it or like have knowledge of it. You just gotta be in position.
So
You say leader, right? And I just want to, I think about it, but I think you always been a leader, though.
You think
Even
so?
when we was younger, yes,
No,
I
you just
really
saying
do
that.
think. No, because you had to make sure that your siblings was good all the time. Mind you, guys, we had to go to church with her mom. I love you, Miss Linda. But you would take control of us when we had to pass out flyers. You was just always in control of making sure everything was good. I don't think you look at it, but you really were. Even at my house, when we sat in my house, you was like, okay, we're gonna do this. We gotta get this. I think you was always a leader.
She's a natural born.
She's just naturally a leader, but this was a different avenue because you went into the hair business, I think. But you always been that person. I
And
think
now-
Tasha would say the same thing too.
And this season, so 3 years ago, when I was like going through like a lot of different stuff and just trying to navigate some spaces and in my life, right? That's the first time that I really feel like I gave God a full yes. And then like I had like an encounter. After that, my daughter kept asking me for a phone. I'm like, you don't even pray for me. Like, I'm over here going through it, okay? And you keep asking me about this phone. And she said to me, rearrange and decompose. And I'm like, maybe you don't need to be praying that over me because I already feel like I'm twisted up. Like, and as I walked away, I heard God clear as day say to me, it appears that you're decreasing in the natural, but in the spirit you're increasing it more. And I say that to say, even those spaces of me growing up, feeling like, I was always just being controlling, bossy, or just having to keep things together from a place of fear, from a place of, when you how many people were here as the oldest child?
All of
I
us.
knew it. I knew you definitely was.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a space of being an older child, I was talking about you. Yeah. But when you walk into the space of being the oldest child, it's a lot of responsibility on you. You know what I mean? A lot of added pressure. And you get it first. You get it first in every aspect.
Yeah.
So being in that, sometimes we end up going into a place of anger, fear, control, manipulations, because it's like you don't really know how to lead, so you're leaning to all these things to try to help you lead. And I didn't understand what God was saying to me about me. Like, I knew things physically were happening, with my business, finances, just relationships. So I'm thinking that was, but a lot of times God does with the eternal, even though that affects the external, right? It always happens first in the spirit before it happens in the natural. So with that being said, was all those devices that I had to use or I was accustomed to, they all had to die. My control, manipulation, whether it's good or bad, anger, all of those things had to die away in me in order for me to walk in this new space and season that I'm coming into. So certain times, the things that we use in certain seasons can't go to the next. And I think this is so relevant because I feel like all of you are transitioning. Are all y'all going to graduate?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
Y'all
few
get
of
in
them.
there.
4 of them.
But you're going to learn it that as you step into new arenas, that the tricks and things that you did in your last season are not going to be able to help you survive in this new place.
Yep.
You got to evolve. You got to grow.
Definitely
And
gotta grow.
certain things that we adopted to us because what was done to us, so we feel like we got to become a bigger monster to defeat a monster. You can't. You can't. Obama's wife said that when they go low, I go high, but that's also a beautiful lie. I found out in my life that when they go high, I go low. I go low. I surrender, because being in a place of surrender is the best place to be. First of all, you can't get hit because you're laying low. And then second of all, you're decreasing who you are to increase something else that's greater.
That was a powerful message. Anything else for the good of the cause? All right, so we would like to thank you for coming on today in the Dragon's Den. This one was actually a really great podcast for you guys. But anything else that y'all, you sure you need to?
I like your eyelashes.
Thank you.
All right, so
What's your
this
name?
is
Liana.
Yeah.
Do you want to do hair?
Yeah, I'm gonna do her eyelashes.
Yeah. Do you do hair now? You do your own hair? You do a good job.
Thank you. Book the look coming soon.
I know that's right. Before we leave, give me a number, because I'm gonna give you some hair.
all right.
You have a lot on your mind. You process a lot. What's your name?
He does.
Jasir.
He does. You hit that on the nose.
You got to start writing. Start writing down all of your thoughts
You hit that right
so
on the
that
nose.
they don't overcrowd your mind, because they are relevant and your mind is always going. It's like God is showing me. It's like an engine. Like I see like one of those things where it's like all the intricate parts and it's just going and running and running. But it's a good thing. But you got to start writing them down. And it's not for everybody to see.
Yep.
You can't show everybody. You need. Yeah, because a lot of times when God is speaking to you, He's already confirming what you already know. But He's just, walking you into that space. But seriously, write them down. Don't show everyone. Keep writing them down. Keep writing them down. Like the things that you're going to engineer and the things that you're going to build and the things that you're going to do. You might feel alone in those spaces, but you won't be. Because God is with you. But you need to write them down. You're a billionaire. You need to write them down. Seriously, I'm telling you. And be okay that everybody can't go, because just like with Joseph, right? His brothers had ended up selling him and doing whatever, but they actually put him in the right place, even though it led to imprisonment and all of these different things like that. But then at the end, they was like trying to figure out, even then, like being manipulative, like, is he going to get revenge on us or whatever like that? And then it says that Joseph shed his hair, like he cried, right? Because in that moment, I believe that Joseph even had to stand in a place of really being in forgiveness. But he said, what you did to me was good for me. Like, you meant to harm to me, but it was good for me up to saving, many lives. Those ideas and plans that you have, even though it feels like you're alone and people don't understand you, or you're in spaces or you feel rejected, it's going to save many lives. And we have to get to that place of when we're in a place of suffering or when we're in that place of not being understood. This is for you.
Ma'am.
Her.
Nevaeh.
You, Nevaeh. I love that. It's heaven backwards. But you got to get to that place where this thought resonates higher in your mind, that it was good for me that I'm being afflicted. Because it's actually preparing you for the next space and place that you're going into. Don't think like, woe is me, why is this happening to me? You got to get to the place of saying, it was good for me, it's good for me. Like, it's going to work out. Like, I'm going to rise. Like, you can keep laughing and mocking and doing what you're doing, but I'm going to rise. And it's not going to be by my power. It's not going to be by my might, but it's going to be because it was destined for me to be. It's because that's what God said it was going to be for me to be. So it's all working together for your good.
Amen.
So let that thought be louder.
Yes. I like that. Well, we are out of time. And I would like to thank you so much for coming in. We appreciate you coming in.
Really do.
We really
This was
do.
such a good podcast.
Thank you.
This really was.
I learned a lot here. I'm about to.
It make you feel good?
Yes.
Make
it
you lock
does.
in?
Well, makes
Well,
you feel like I got time and I can get somewhere.
yeah.
And it's,
Don't worry about time.
Oh yes.
Nope, we don't.
No.
No, don't worry about time.
Yeah.
Time can be added on. You know, you can't worry about time. Like, that's a whole other thing that would make you feel anxiety and you gotta rush. Just worry about the moment, one step in front of the other, one breath.
That's my biggest.
Yeah, that will keep you in a constant place of anxiety because you're focusing on this time that you're just like going to run out. When, again, a lot of times we're right where we need to be and we need to focus on what's in front of us. Like, we need to be anxious about nothing. Like, just be in that moment. One of the things that I love when I had got fired, they was mad at me. But that next morning, I was driving so slow because what are y'all rushing for? I ain't got nowhere to go. And it felt so good. Like, what are y'all rushing for? I be in New York like, where are y'all rushing to get to for nowhere?
Yeah.
Like, you got to not be in that place. People are rushing to get to nowhere.
Yeah.
And then got a nerve to get mad at me because I'm taking my time. No, I'm going to sip my tea and my coffee. I'm going to walk. Like, learn to do that. Like, learn to just walk.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to get to that place of being a wife and be anxious.
Yeah.
And then you're nagging. And then you stress your husband completely out because you're putting so much weight and pressure on him that never should be on him that only can be held by God.
Well, again,
Yeah, that dude.
well, again, we would like to thank you for coming to the Dragon's Den. This is our episode on April the 10th, and we are signing out with AK. What you got for us, AK?
And we are here to work towards the common goal, achieving goals through the academics, the arts, and the athletics, and never stopping until that goal is accomplished.
Thank you. Have a great day.